Welcome back to another Satisfactory episode where today we must complete phase 2 so we can start building our starter factory next episode. And the first thing that we need to do is unlock coal power. I put everything in the milestone screen already, and now it's time to send the offie. Huge. So now that we have coal power unlocked, I kind of want to skip coal power and go straight to compacted coal. Because compacted coal will allow us to make double the power just for adding sulfur. And where we are going to be building our coal plant is going to have lots of sulfur right next to it. So it's kind of a no-brainer. So we're going to make sure we spec into the sulfur tree once we get over there. And that way we can unlock our compacted coal. And I just need to make sure I have one hard drive available for that recipe. But I'm going to let this smart plating keep building while we do all of our stuff. And that way we're pretty much only going to need to get versatile frames and some automated wiring. So we should be able to get through this phase 2 pretty quickly. Phase 3 is when we're going to have to slow down and really start building and taking our time. Okay, so jumping over here in the blue crater, if you look at the map, you can see where I have explored, and we are over here to build our first power plant. And like I mentioned before, we want to skip just doing coal and we want to go straight to compacted coal. So all we have to do here is set up a few assemblers, bring in the sulfur that's right over here, and we have 3 nodes over here, so we have plenty of sulfur, and we have 4 coal nodes kind of a little ways down this way. So just over that edge right there, we need to grab our coal. We're going to bring it over here along with our water, and we'll combine those over here with some coal generators to make some power. I want to limit the amount of pipes that we are going to have to run up here, so we're going to change from what I normally do, which is 2 coal generators for 1 water extractor, and we are actually going to overclock 1 water extractor and feed 6 coal generators with 1 water extractor. That way we can do even more power later on to get maybe 2400 or that 3600 megawatts pretty easily with a little less water extractors and less piping, because we are going to have to increase the head lift by using pumps. So the less pipes we have to do that way, the better. And right now we don't really need a ton of overclocking shards, so using them here is actually pretty awesome. And I'm out of concrete, so I have to go get more materials. But on the way back, you'll see that I actually have ran a power line, and we've also specced a little bit into the Factorio tree, so we can unlock the zipline thingy-mabob, and that will allow us to kind of just get in between our starter area and our power facility a little quicker, which is always nice. Having access to this zipline tool early game definitely makes traversing the map a little easier, much quicker, and kind of opens up the door to expanding your factory a little earlier than maybe you originally planned, which is kind of cool. Using power towers in junction with the zipline tool is actually really awesome, because they act as wall outlets which don't kick you off when you hit them like this, so you can just go in a straight line like pretty much forever, which is awesome. And maybe we'll demonstrate that another episode and use them more once we get into our blueprints for our infrastructure. But right now I need to grab more concrete so I can make that platform. I gotta throw down all those coal generators and water extractors and connect all those logistics and whatnot. But that area is going to be our power plant area for the save, because we have compacted coal, and then we can easily get into fuel and even turbo fuel over there. So outside of our power plant, there's only a couple things that we have to do, and that is make the 2 space elevator parts, which is going to require a little steel. But again, we do have a coal node right down here that we can just bring over, and a bunch of iron over here. And then the only other thing that we would have to do is get a ton of tickets. Now, you don't need tickets to make a factory, really, but to make them look awesome and unique and all of that stuff, we definitely are going to have to spend a lot of tickets in the awesome shop, which means that we need to start accumulating those. And looking for hard drives is one of the best ways, because you can get some high tier components off the ground pretty easily and sync them for a ton of tickets, which is what we are going to do 100%. But also with that, we have to go kill a bunch of the mobs around, and that'll give us access to the DNA capsules, which we can also sync for a boost in tickets early game. So both of those are going to happen, and while we do that, we're also going to be looking for those summer sloops and Mercer spheres, primarily the Mercer spheres, just because summer sloops aren't going to be super useful until phase 3, whereas the Mercer spheres, we can start unlocking the dimensional depot stuff a little earlier. But we're not going to really mess around with that too much until we build our starter factory, which will include a central storage area, which will also have the dimensional depots in it. Again, we're just trying to get through the phase 2 and start working on our starter factory next episode, which is going to be phenomenal. And also with our starter factory comes blueprints. So we will be making a bunch of blueprints for that one. I already have some design types in mind and some new buildables that I want to use in them. I'm very excited for that. And we are definitely struggling on the concrete side of things. Only having about 300 right now. So we might have to handcraft some, which is totally fine. Because I like having concrete. It wouldn't hurt to buff our production at some point though. Definitely for the starter factory, we're going to be pulling all of the nodes around us, which is like 5 or 6. We're going to be pulling all those. We can even overclock them if we need. We should be able to hit somewhere around 500 concrete per minute, which might sound like too much. But if you know anything about the channel, we like using concrete, and concrete also likes to go missing. So I'm going to handcraft this, expand that platform, throw down some coal generators and such, and then we'll go over kind of how that power facility will work, and then move on to the next thing. And jumping forward, I have unlocked the compacted coal recipe, which means we now have access to a compacted coal power plant. So I piped up that sulfur, or belted it in rather. Same goes with the coal, and we'll go look at that in a second. But the big thing to note here is that I have one pipe powering 6 coal generators. Now I have this neat little calculator already popped up, but each coal generator needs 45 water, and we have 6 of them on this one line, which means we need 270 water. So we know that our pipes are limited to 300 liquid in a Mark 1, so we got to stay under 300. So 6 is the max we could do on one pipe. But if we look all the way down there, all the way down there, all the way, this guy is now overclocked and outputting 270 water per minute. And we have just a few pipes, and we have just a few we have just a few pumps. I think it's taking about 6 pumps to get up top. The space elevator looks so cool. So when we want to increase our power production, all we have to do is both increase our sulfur, coal, and water, and we can do that in sets of 6. And if we look how much compacted coal it's going to take for 6 generators, it should only take 45 compacted coal because it burns at half of the rate of coal. So instead of taking 90, it's only going to take 45. And you can imagine if we're outputting about 480 compacted coal, once we hit phase 3, we can make a good amount of power. If we do a full 480 belt divided by 7.5 per coal generator is 64. 64 times 75 is almost 5 gigawatts of power just on compacted coal, and that would only be 480 coal, 480 sulfur, which we can easily get from here. Like, we have a pure, a normal, and an impure right here, and we have 4 normals over there. That will not be hard to get with Mark II miners and a couple shards. But we are not going to worry about designing this power plant right now because a lot of this will get changed and whatnot, and that is totally fine because we will repurpose this after we make a fuel plant. So we're going to make our starter factory, and then we're going to go and make a fuel plant over here as we have oil on the other side of the lake, and then we'll come back and make this into a compacted coal plant that will eventually be combined with the fuel plants to make turbo fuel. So I'm gonna stop yapping here, and I'm gonna go continue being efficient like Fix It intends, having my Fix It mandated fun. Okay, we are back at the production area of our components, and I am ready to start exploring steel, which should be pretty easy here. You can just barely see it over there, but there is a miner mining some coal. I need to give it some power, but we have everything set up there. Just got to connect some power, and we'll have 120 coal on this line ready to be turned into steel. Now for the 120 iron that we'll need for the steel, we have 8 impure iron nodes right here. We have 2 right here, 2 right there, and then 4 just beneath that cliff there. Without overclocking and on Mark I miners, we can get a total of 240 raw iron, which is plenty. because we only have 120 coal, but we're going to pull all this iron in and we will definitely be using it. And I'm not going to worry about overclocking any of these miners to try to get more iron because we shouldn't really need it to get through phase 2. And once we hit phase 3, we'll get Mark II miners pretty quickly, and that will just double all of our inputs of ore instantly. Unfortunately, I do not have the solid steel ingot recipe, so we're using the default. I do like solid steel, but this will still work for our purposes. Granted, it will be a little slow, but all we need to do for the versatile framework, if we look it up right here, is we need modular frames and we need 30 steel beams. Now this is for 5 per minute and we need 1,000. And I'm okay with waiting a little bit, even if it's a little slow, because I need some time to go explore and get Mercer spheres, summer sloops, and all the new jazz so that we can make our starter factory. We also need tickets because we have no tickets. So getting tickets is going to be a priority. That's why I want to get the versatile framework primarily set up and put in, even if it's a low production per minute. And as there's a bean in the way, I have added 4 miners, all merging into one level 2 belts, doing 120 iron, and we are just smashing that into some foundries here. These foundries are just producing a little bit of steel, which is going into both steel beams and steel pipes. Now I am targeting a little bit more of these steel ingots to go into beams because the ratio is pretty bad. I think it's 60 to 15 by default. Oh, and I think that this is supposed to be level 2. Look at me go. Huge. Okay, so maybe they'll actually produce at what they're supposed to produce now. So we're making about 23 steel beams per minute, I think, somewhere around there, and we're making about 20 pipes per minute. So almost all of those beams are going to go into versatile framework, but to do that we also need some modular frames. Our smart plating is ticking up quite nicely. We only need about 370 more, but for the modular frames we do need rips and rods. Now we do have rods going into storage right here, and that's probably enough. So we're probably going to just take this line that's supposed to be 15 per minute, throw it into an assembler with the extra reinforced plates we have over here, and make some frames. And we can throw those frames into an assembler, let's say over here, and just build the versatile framework into here. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am very, very excited to try to get this phase done, because I know that once I get this phase done, we're going to build an amazing starter factory. That's going to take a little bit, but it will look awesome. I hope. I really hope. But I'm going to bust out this next little production line, and then we are also going to need to unlock some milestones. Okay, and after taking probably a little bit too much time to gather all these resources, because early game kind of sucks, we have enough to unlock the blueprint. Oh my goodness, I do not have enough. I am 32 concrete short. That's horrendous. But we'll throw everything else in here, and let me go grab the 32 concrete I need. Oh, there's only 22 in here. Oh, no. Because I was waiting for so long, I actually added another miner over here that's mining the limestone, belting it in right here, along with our original one all the way over there. And we're still not producing enough concrete. Okay, time to now fill up everything, and we can send off this milestone. So now we've unlocked the blueprint designer. Ooh, fancy. I don't have enough materials to build it, but we will definitely be using that very shortly. This episode, I'm probably only going to make a couple basic production blueprints, not anything fancy, just to expedite building a little bit, so I can bust out some SAM ore stuff and probably some Caterium and other things like that. I'll make a smelter and a constructor blueprint, but the next episode we will be absolutely going crazy with designing some sick blueprints, so make sure you check those out. Now there's multiple milestones that we can get here, but really the two most important are going to be Logistics Mark III and Advanced Steel Production. That gives us our motors, our stators, and our automated wiring, case beams, and Mark II miners. And then for Mark III Logistics, we get the Indie storage, which is nice to have, and then we get Mark III belts and whatnot. The automated wiring, we will need stators and cable, I believe, to make automated wiring, and then stators also will go into motors. So encased industrial beams, we will need to make our Mark II miners. Automating those right now is going to be a little bit of a tall order just because we don't have that much steel, but we definitely need to get both of these. The power infrastructure one is not super important right now, and I don't really feel like spending 50 encased beams for that milestone. Same with the hypertubes. We'll get them eventually, but I'm also not super big on either of these right now. And the next milestone that I want to get real quick is going to be our advanced steel production. So I've collected all the other materials, and we just need to throw our pipes in here, and we can send this milestone right off. Okay, and something I wanted to touch on with the new belt mode is that there's a lot of things that this new belt mode will speed up, and building like this is one of them. So before, when we did not have this new belt mode that is straight, we'd have to bring them out and manually build a piece like this, and then connect it to our lift like this. But with the straight mode, all we do is just connect each one and it builds straight. I cannot tell you guys how much I am loving this feature specifically, and we haven't even gotten to use the dimensional depot yet. But anyways, we are now going to be producing modular frames, and that means we just need to connect that with our steel all the way over yonder. And yeah, we'll be able to produce our versatile framework, and our smart plating is almost done. So once that smart plating is done, we will just remove this machine, and we'll be able to repurpose those items elsewhere or into storage, either one. And I have been sinking a little bit of stuff. I have a few coupons here, and I have spent a few coupons already, but we are going to go out and explore and such, and try to get a bunch of DNA capsules and things like that to also increase our ticket production, because we need like 70 tickets in total. We need a lot of tickets to unlock all of the cosmetics that I want to get. Okay, so I have some really awesome stuff that I have to show you now. It's been a little bit. I set up the versatile framework like I said I was going to. I just brought the belts over here, and we've been feeding into the space elevator for a bit. The smart plating is almost done, and the versatile framework is about 10% of the way there. If we go look at our machine, we're only running at 62%. So we're not running that many. That's mostly because we're still bulking up the storage over there for the steel beams. But what I wanted to show you was how many tickets I have acquired. And I'll tell you guys exactly how I got this many, but I have 56 coupons to spend currently. Now that's a combination of a little bit of DNA capsule, but mostly it was item syncing. And those of you who kind of already know how the item syncing works, you'll know that that is quite a lot. But I got 56 coupons from syncing items that I found at hard drive locations. And if I go look at my inventory, you'll see I have some interesting items like some heavy modular frames and aluminum casings. Now we don't have aluminum unlocked, so that means we got this from the ground at some of those hard drive locations. Now there's different tools you can look up online to kind of see what items would be at which hard drive location, but they vary depending on the location and depending on how easy those drives are to get. The harder ones will tend to have some high level components. But all that to say, I got 11 turbo motors from one of them, and I used one to open for a drive, and the other 10 I sunk, along with a couple other higher value items. And we can also sync these outcloud sheets if we wish, because we really don't have a use at all anytime soon for those. But you can see our points already up to probably like 100k plus for a coupon, which is pretty crazy. So really whatever we're going to sync ourselves now is not going to really do much. So we're going to have to focus on DNA capsules as our main source of tickets, which is fine because we can easily go out and find 50 to 100 remains and get a bunch of tickets that way, which is what we're going to have to do. And I don't know everything that I want to get here, but for sure things like the conveyor hole, the wall outlet for sure. We're definitely going to need the label signs and billboard set. I'm kind of wanting to try out some of these finishes, so I kind of want to get the unpainted finish. And you guys know that we also need grip metal and asphalt, along with some patterns. Like the factory zone is a good pattern to have. Foundation wise, we do need like half foundations and stairs. And I want to get windows, but there's a lot of things to get in the walls category. We're going to start with the window walls, and looking at that, we're already at 42 out of our 56, so we don't have that much more to spend, and we haven't even gotten everything in here that we need. I really want to get these new beam barriers, construction fence, things like that. I'm not sure exactly the orientation we'll get, but we'll at least get like this stuff. But I do want to get the steel structure ones as well. I love using some of these items, so I gotta pick and choose. So I think you guys can still see why we need even more tickets. We probably need another 25 tickets or so to really kind of unlock most of the cosmetics that I am going to need to build in our starter factory, which again is starting next episode. It'll probably take a few episodes to fully make, but I think it's going to turn out really well. I still have to make a few basic production blueprints for like refineries and assemblers for the constructors and smelters, just for when I place down the Caterium line and maybe more steel lines that I just build them really quick. But I think one of the next things I have to do is get SAM ore, which I have discovered is down underneath that arch. So I need to get that, but we also need to work towards automated wiring, which isn't too difficult. It's only going to be stators and cable. Cable, obviously we can make, and with iron wire, we can make that really easily. Stators, on the other hand, are a little bit more complex. We need steel and the wire. So for our automated wiring, we really just need iron and steel. So I'm going to work on busting out some extra production. I'll probably have to build a couple more foundations here to create some more room, but I'm going to bust out a little bit more iron ingot production for various different parts here, like the automated wiring and motors, which are basically the same. And then after those two items, we are pretty much going to be good to finish phase 2 and then go and play delete mode and just delete everything we have here and build a nice starter factory. Okay, and after quite a bit of time, actually, the smart plating has finished. You can see our versatile framework has been going to work. We don't need too much more of that. And now we just need our 100 automated wiring as well. And right here, that's what I've gotten set up. So I made those stators, pulling those pipes and just plug them in with some wire and a cable. Pretty simple, actually, to make automated wiring. Now we only need 100, so that's why it's not too bad. We're only making 1.7 per minute, but that is okay. We are going to let this build up because we need 100 of those. And then we also need a little bit of versatile framework stuff. And if I jump over here, we can see that we are kind of starved on our modular frames, which is ultimately being starved by rods. And that's because we are consuming 20 out of the 30 rods we're making per minute for rotors. And we don't really need rotors. They're just going into storage right now. So I'm going to completely pause this machine for now. That will give us 30 per minute on this little lift right here. And I'm going to completely cut out our storage split as well. So it'll be 30 per minute directly into this machine. And you can see we only need 12 per minute. So obviously that's going to help, but that means we can also increase our production. We can go to 24 pretty easily, and that means we can make 4 modular frames per minute. We can even increase this to 5 per minute to take up that full 30 actually. And we can send our 5 frames per minute over here to our versatile framework assembler that we have now overclocked to use 5 frames per minute and 60 steel beams per minute. Now, as you can see, I've added a storage buffer right here that's been building up while we've been lacking in our modular frames. So as soon as those modular frames start building up and producing at a nice 5 per minute, which is looking like it's already starting to fill up right here, we're getting way more rods coming over here. That versatile framework is going to really start going fast. We're going to be making 10 per minute, and we need about 360. We're doing about 10 per minute. It's only going to take about half an hour to get that done, which means I got to start getting a move on making sure everything else is ready for when we hit phase 3. So I need to unlock all the cosmetics I can before that happens. Okay, and jumping forward, we now have all of the space elevator parts built in. That did take a little while. It took about an hour to get all those parts made, mostly just because the automated wiring was definitely working a little slower than the versatile framework at that point, but we got everything done and dusted. And I also have deleted that smart plating and then repurposed those rips into this assembler here. Pretty much all merge over here and go into a dimensional depot. I started experimenting with it, only have uploaded a couple items. Again, we are saving the dimensional depot stuff for when we are building our starter factory and central storage area, which does start next episode. And I'm very excited to be able to use that dimensional depot. It'll be very fun. But first, before we do anything, we have to send off our phase 2 because I also want the jetpack. And the first milestone in tier 5 is now the jetpack. We don't have to do oil processing, so that means we can slow down. Okay, it is time, and I'm going to shut up, and we are going to watch this next animation.
Welcome to the Project Assembly Pioneer Progress presentation. Congratulations, the Phase 2 project part shipment is now ready for delivery. On delivery, Phase 2 will be completed and the construction dock will be constructed. After completion of Phase 2, the technologies of Tiers 5 and 6 will become available in the hub. These might feel intimidating after your previous experience, but rest assured that you would not be here if you were entirely incompetent. Highlights are oil production, railway transportation, the jetpack, and many more. Completing Phase 3 of Project Assembly is your next main objective. Just remember to focus on producing and delivering the project parts, and Fixit's faith in you will be strengthened.
I love these little videos that they're doing. Bro, it just keeps going. Holy crap, that was a ton. Jesus, man. How big is this thing gonna get? This thing's getting massive. Wow, that was sick.
Phase 2 of project assembly completed. You have been performing more adequately under pressure and are closer than ever to saving the day. Perhaps you were the right choice for the job. Time will tell. You will now enter Phase 3 of project assembly. Continue as you are, and there should be no issue. For humanity. For Fix-It.
Wow. Well, that's going to be just about it. We have completed phase 2, which was the goal for the video, and we have indeed unlocked a lot of cosmetics. In between this episode and next, we will definitely be exploring a little bit, because I do want to jump up to the rocky desert up here, kind of go up that way and come back and try to get a bunch of Mercer spheres, because we do need a good handful to use the dimensional storage or dimensional depots as they're intended. But the next video should be up actually pretty soon. Within the next few days, we should have the first part of the starter factory build out, and trust me, it's going to look pretty awesome. And because we've already been working on the designs and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here for today. I'm gonna stop yapping. If you guys did enjoy, please let me know down below. And if you guys are excited to see some pretty insane builds, the ones that we have planned for this save, let me know. If you guys want access to any blueprints that we are gonna be making, which is gonna start next episode, they will be available on Patreon. If you ever choose to subscribe to it, you will have access to everything that we have done up to that point. And yeah, that's about all I got. If you're interested in seeing any of these episodes that we do live, because we stream almost everything we do, we are live on Twitch. Follow us there. A link will be in description. And yeah, that's about it. Till next time. Peace.